Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Hello and welcome to our webinar today. My name is Gracie and I'll be your host and moderator for today's webinar about teaching in Vietnam 2022. So thank you everyone for taking the time to join us today as we talk about the requirements to enter and find a job and start living in Vietnam in 2022. So, okay, let's start. Here in this webinar, you'll learn about the qualifications and the types of positions you could obtain for having them, and also some basic standard requirements of an expat teacher in Vietnam and other information about salary and benefits according to your position. So now I want to share with you my screen because I want to introduce our speakers for today's session. Where is the sheet? Okay. All right, can you all see my screen? All right, so cool. Okay, so in our today's session, we will listen to Mr. Andy from Tefl International Vietnam, Mrs. Jessie, who is a team leader at Vietnam Teaching Job, and Mrs. Sophie, our educational consultant, who is an expert in legal documents and procedures to enter Vietnam and start finding a job. All right, and we are going to go over our agenda for today's webinar. So at 9:10, we will start with with Mrs. Sophie's presentation about benefits and salary range in Vietnam. So in this session, she'll be talking about the benefits for having the required documents for teaching in Vietnam and the general salary range according to your qualifications and your teaching positions. And then we move on to the sharing from Mr. Andy from Tefl International Vietnam, where he will talk about the difference between an English certificate and a teaching certificate, and some information about other teaching qualifications and how to legalize the Tesol certificate. And then we will have a Q&A session with Mr. Andy. You have 15 minutes to make questions and get answered directly from him. And then we'll move on to the sharing of Mrs. Jessie about the foreign language proficiency required for non-native ESL teachers in Vietnam. Right, and you can see for yourself the content of her session. And then we will have another Q&A, and this one is longer, where you will have all the questions answered by our speakers, Mrs. Jessie and Sophie from VTJ. And that will be it. Thank you, everyone. So without further ado, we'll start this off with the presentation from Mrs. Sophie. So Mrs. Sophie, please get on the screen.
Good morning, everyone. So I would like to start my sharing session. So can you see my screen share? To say hello, everyone, one more time. So my name is Sophie, work as an educational consultant at Vietnam Teaching Job. So first of all, I would like to say thank you for all of you for spending your time in our event today. And I would like to go over the outline of my sharing session today. It's divided into 4 parts. And the first one, I will introduce some information about Vietnam teaching job website, and after that, I will answer the question how to become qualified teachers in Vietnam by clarifying the information in the section number 2, qualification, and section number 3, other criteria. And last but not least, I will give you general information regarding the average range and the living costs in Vietnam for expat teachers. So now we will get started with the first section, talking about my company, Vietnam Teaching Job website. So we had founded in 2012 and considered as a teaching platform for expat teachers to find the teaching opportunities in Vietnam. And with our vision, the leading job site for foreigners in Vietnam, we had cooperated with a number of academic institutions around in Vietnam for over 10 years. And they had cooperated with the language centers like Joler, I Can Reach across in Vietnam, and also international school, bilingual school, and university like West Wing or the Degree School. And also the part of the third part of our client is from educational agency like EIB Education to connect expert teacher, qualified teachers to teach at the teaching places like the private school, private clients for business courses or government school as well. And also to variety, the different kind of teaching positions, we regularly update different jobs on our website. And for teachers, you can create your own resume and then directly apply the job on our website. And in the past of 2 years, I have seen a lot of teachers have left Vietnam and have no chance to come back Vietnam, and also a lot of outside teachers wish to come Vietnam for work and living. So because of the COVID situation, it makes very hard for teachers. So in 2021, we start a program for artists to spot outside teachers to get into Vietnam and get a skilled job with a reliable employers. And this year in 2022, we continue to spot outside teachers from native and native country to come Vietnam with the teaching position. And with our mission, building the largest educational community and brings much more value to expert teachers, we understand the difficulties and the obstacles from expats when they live in the new country, mix with the culture, the differences in culture, in living standard, or the legal documents for expats. So we support teacher with the apartment service, with the legal service to support teachers make work permit, the TRC, the translation service, or the visa extension. And also we understand the requirement from Vietnam government regarding making work permit. So we refer the right teaching courses. Also support for traveling. And the last one, we regularly update a lot of useful tips on our website regarding the live Vietnam culture or the teaching resources on our website. So that is all information regarding Vietnam teaching jobs. So I hope that you have a clear picture about our website, our company, and understand that what kind of the service we taught teachers and how we work. And now we will move on to the next session, the answer for the question, how to become qualified teachers in Vietnam. And the first section is regarding the qualification. So you know that because of the high demands of hiring expert teacher in Vietnam and also the effect of the COVID situation, Vietnam changed a lot of regulation regarding paperwork. So following the decree number 152 in 2020 provide regulation on foreign employees working in Vietnam. So here is the list of the documents the teacher should have. The first one, the bachelor degree, a complete university degree with 4 years is started to apply for any position in Vietnam, either at the private language center or in the university or bilingual school, and the degree is in English education. And in case you don't have the degree in English education, you must have the teaching in the international teaching certificate. And in Vietnam, there are different kinds of teaching certificates using to apply for teaching positions, like the Tesol, the Tefl, the Celta, or the Delta. So I will move to the information for the Celta Certificate. So it is the kind of the certificate in English language teaching to adults, and lots of employers from university or international school will prefer teachers who have this Celta, and the Celta to exam that teachers have ability to teach English to adults. And the second one about the PGCE. The PGCE is usually used in the international school. When you apply for a position like math, science, or physics teaching position, the employer will prefer the teacher to have the PGCE, and this certificate will take you 1 or 2 years learning to finish the course and get the certificate. And this certificate is provided by English. And talking about another international teaching certificate, I mentioned a lot about the Tesol, the teaching English to speakers of other languages, and the Tefl, teaching English and a foreign language. So this specific information will be presented by Mr. Andy. So I'll go on focus more information in this part. And the third requirement regarding the language proficiency test. So who needs the language proficiency test? According to Vietnam government, 5 countries are considered as a native English speakers. They are from UK, US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. So that means another group of teachers will be considered as a non-native speakers, and non-native speaker must have the language proficiency test in case your degree is not related to English education or not related to the English language. And in recent years, Vietnam government required the language proficiency test, and the kind of C1 or Ielts or VSTAT are accepted using it as a language proficiency test. According to the circular number 1 from the Ministry of Education and Training, the C1 is from British culture, and the Ielts with the 7 points relevant from British culture as well, and the VSTAT from Vietnamese University. And this specific information also will be presented in detail from the section of Ms. Jessie for the next section. And the last one regarding the documents for policy check and health check. So on our website, Vietnam Teaching Jobs has posted a lot of information on how to obtain the policy check and health check. So the policy check will be valid for 6 months, and the health check will be valid for a year. And after this event, we will collect all information and then send it back to you for reference as well. So that is all information regarding the paperwork, the requirement from Vietnam government, consider for qualified teacher. And beside that, we also consider another criteria for qualified teachers. So the first one for the teaching experience. So it is important to say that when you apply for any position, the employer will be focused on your teaching experience. And from the language standard, the Vietnamese employers will prefer if you have from 6 months teaching experience. And from the university or international school, bilingual schools, they will ask teachers to have the teaching experience from 1 or 3 years regarding the subject you apply for. And the same one, the solving problem skills, because you teach in the foreign country with the different learning style of students. So you should have the solving problem skills to handle all of the problems in classes. So I believe that the solving problem skills is necessary one for a qualified teachers. And the last one, the technical skills, because the COVID makes a lot of things change. And also in education, a lot of classes turn from the offline to the online classes. So we recommend that teachers should have the ability of using the online teaching platforms. So normally in Vietnam, we use Google Meet, Skype, or Zoom, or MS Teams to teach online classes. So if you have ability how to use that platform, that will be better for you and gain your experience on teaching online. And the second criteria is regarding the standard accent and ability of communicating. So in Vietnam, the native speaker have a higher salary rather than the non-native speaker, because they have a clear accent to deliver the lesson. So if you are come from the non-native speaker, but you have a clear accent and you have a great ability of communicating, so it will have a problem. The employer is willing to sponsor you or give you an offer to hire you as their employee. And the last one, work attitude. It's not about the Vietnamese employee, but also for foreign employee. We prefer and we focus on the work attitude. It is very important. So I am not sure if you heard about the standard when in Rome, do as the Roman do. So that means when you work in a company, you should understand about the company culture, about their requirements, the term or the condition, at the end to gain a good regulation or the good relationship between the employees and the employers. And one tip for regarding the terms of work attitude, so before you sign any contract or accept to work with the employer, you should do a search about the company. Who are they, and also what is the work condition, any terms or responsibilities and the benefits you get from the company before you start for the position. So that is all information regarding the criteria, and it's and for all of the information regarding the question how to become qualified teacher. So to review all information I mentioned, so I have a quick question for you in this part. So you can see on the screen here. So regarding the question, you choose the correct answer. So here I give you 3 sentences, so you can read on the screen and then click and choose the correct answer. So I have seen the first sentence is all native speakers must have the language proficiency test. The second one, teacher had to have the degree in English education or in any field with an international teaching certificate. And the last one, police check and health check must be valid for a year from the first 8 few days. So I think the difference about the percent a bit sentence, 56% for the sentence number 1, more than 40% for sentence number 2, only 2% for sentence number 3. So what is the correct sentence? So because of the limit time, so I will give the correct answer for this question. So the correct sentence is number 2. Teacher had to have a degree in English education or in any field with an international teaching certificate. For the first sentence, because if you come from non-native speaker, but your degree is in English education or your degree is in English linguistics or English language, so it is that you don't need to mix the language proficiency test. And the third sentence, police check will be valid for assessment and only health check will be valid for 1 year. So now we will move on to the last part of our sharing section. We will give you a background information regarding the salary range and the living cost in Vietnam. So when talking about the living cost, I will divide it into parts. The first one is metropolitan areas, like the big city in Hanoi, Saigon, or Da Nang, and another part for smaller city, medium city, or province. So the first cost regarding the rental houses in Vietnam, in the big city, it costs $300 to $800 per month for rental house, and it will be around $200 to $400 per month in the smaller city. And one more difference, so if you work in the big city, so you will be handle all the costs of the rental house. The employer won't be taught you about the housing allowance or the free private room. However, if you work and live in the smaller city, the employer will taught you about the housing allowance per month, and also if they do not thought about the housing allowance, they will provide you with a free accommodation or the free stay room at their center. It is a difference. So the second one about the transportation. So the cost will be from $40 to $60 per month in the big city, and from the $20 to $30 per month in the smaller city. It is the same as the Asian countries. Vietnam use a lot of motorbike, and it is very convenient and necessary for expat teachers if you live in Vietnam and you can try a bike. So the cost for transportation will be less than you using the Grab bike or the taxi. And about the food, so the cost in the big city is from $200 to $500 per month. So it depends on the kind of food you enjoy. You can choose the Western style food or the Vietnamese street food. And also in the smaller city, the cost will be from $200 per month. And also another extra course, it included the entertainment course and the exercise course. And when you live in the big city, that means you have a chance to enjoy your daily life with different facilities and the more modern facility. And also the cost will be higher from $250 to $300 per month in the big city, and from $200 per month in the smaller city. So I believe that this information regarding the number in this table will help you have the clear picture about the living costs in Vietnam. And now we've moved on to the last part of my salary section about the salary range. So when I give you the numbers in the salary range, it depends on my experience when I work with the teachers from outside and also inside Vietnam. And in Vietnam, the salary range will be depends on a lot of factors. It depends on your teaching experience, on your qualification with a lot of documents to make work permit, on your how many teaching hours per month you get, and also depends on the living, the place you will live. So in this table, I will divide it in 3 types and 3 range of the salary. So the first one, you work at the international school, bilingual school, or university. So you will get the salary from $1,800 to $2,400 per month. And beside the teaching hours at the school, you also have the office hours to make the lesson plans or do a test or make a curriculum for the school. And also, if you work in a private language center, the salary will be from $900 to $1,800 per month. It depends on your teaching experience, depends on the teaching hour you get per month. And normally the employer will provide 100 teaching hours per month. You will teach both the daytime work at the public school and also the in the evening weekend classes at the center. And if you work for overtime, they will pay for the overrate. And the last type is from public school, and the salary is from $1,200 to $1,800 per month. And it depends on the teaching out, how the total of teaching hours you get per month. And for this kind of school, you will teach from Monday to Friday or the Saturday morning, only for daytime work. So that is all information regarding the salary range. And I would like to end my salary section today. If you have any further questions, you can leave a message on the chat box. And we also have a Q&A section. We will directly answer you later. So we'll move on to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your detailed and useful presentation, Mrs. Sophie. I believe that most of our joining teachers today can check and prepare for themselves before applying and working in Vietnam after the session. So now we are moving on to the presentation of Mr. Andy from TFL International Vietnam, and he will tell us more about the certificates and what is the difference between them. Mr. Andy, please come on the screen.
Hello. Can everyone hear me okay? Yeah, excellent. Okay. So, good morning, or possibly good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you are. So let me bring up my slides for you. Share screen. Okay. So everyone can see that all right? So I work for Tefl International, Vietnam. Tefl International, we have 46 branches in 34 different countries, and we offer a Tesol course. So just a few things to go through first. The content for today is going to be the difference in an English certificate and a teaching certificate, which is the best teaching certificate to get, a little bit about Tefl International Vietnam, and then how to legalize Tesol certificates for use in Vietnam. So the first one, difference in an English certificate and a teaching certificate. If you're not a native speaker, you often need both of these for working in Vietnam. So an English certificate, something like Ielts or Tefl or TOEIC or something like that, which shows what your level of proficiency with the language is. Teaching certificates are things like Tesol or Tefl or Celta, which we'll get onto in a moment. Celta, Certificate of English Language Teaching to Adults. Tesol, teaching English is because of other languages. Tefl, teaching English as a foreign language. Basically, these three are pretty much the same thing. Celta is operated by Cambridge exams. The Tesol is offered by Trinity College and by Tefl International, and then the Tefl is offered by a bunch of other organizations. But yeah, the acronym on your certificate isn't that important. What's important is what the course contains, what you've actually done during your course. In order to be an internationally recognized English teaching qualification, it should be a minimum 120-hour course with at least 6 hours of observed teaching practice with real students, taught by university level instructors, and accredited and monitored. And that last one's the important one. So when you're looking at Tesol or Celta course or whatever, who's moderating the course, who's accrediting the course? That's the important thing to look for. Tefl International has been operating since 1995. We've been in Vietnam since 2004, so we've been here for a very long time. Personally, I did the very first Tefl International course in Vietnam back in 2004. And then I've been working with Tefl International since 2007. So yeah, any questions anybody has about Vietnam as well as about teaching English, you can ask me later because I've been here a while now. This is the certificate of incorporation. We're a US-based company based out of Oregon, which we'll will become relevant in a moment when we get to authentication. So why choose Tefl International for your Tesol experience? Firstly, the trainers, that includes me. We've all been doing this for a very long time. Our head trainer, Miss Yim, started teacher training in 2004. I started in 2007. Our other trainers have been training since 2010. So we've got about 100 years experience between us. All of our qualifications are internationally recognized. They're internationally accredited. We have a selection of courses. Pretty much we have a course for what just about everybody wants. You can either study full-time in the classroom with us for a month, or you can study partly online and partly in class, or you can study completely online. Just a quick note on this, that we've been, it says here, the longest running and most respected provider, that we've been here for 18 years. Probably the biggest benefit of the fact that we've been here since, we've been operating in Vietnam since 2004, is it means there's a lot of people out there in Vietnam with our certificates. So when you go for a job interview, you've got about a 50-50 chance that the guy sitting across the desk from you also has one of our certs. He's one of our former trainees. And that certainly doesn't hurt your chances of getting the job. This is our accreditation. We're accredited by Lamar University and by Paris International College. The fact that Lamar is a real university is one of the most useful things for our course. Most of the courses, their accreditation comes from a company rather than from a university. So the university accreditation is very valuable and means that our certificate can be used anywhere in the world. This is the trainers. I don't think I need to say too much about that, other than you can see that's a pre-COVID lockdown me, and the one on your screen right now is a post-COVID lockdown me. I think I've aged about 10 years in the last 2 years. This is our certificate. As you can see, it's stamped and authorized by Lamar University. That's the online certificate. So the in-class course, which is the one I would always recommend for anybody who doesn't have teaching experience or who hasn't got existing qualifications in education. There's five core components. The first one is teaching techniques. So this is things like how to teach writing, how to teach listening, how to teach speaking, but also things like classroom management or dealing with student errors, all that kind of thing. There's also a foreign language experience. We put you in a classroom with a teacher who speaks a language that none of the trainees speak. To give you a chance to find out what it feels like for the students to be in a room with a teacher with none of the same language, and to show you that it's possible to teach language effectively even when you don't have any common language. There's also the language awareness, the grammar and the phonology elements that you'll need to be an effective English teacher. Observed teaching practice to be 6 or more hours at schools in Ho Chi Minh City. We use a variety of different schools for that. So it could be primary schools, high schools, universities. We try to give people a broad range of experience so you can figure out what works best for you. Most teachers end up finding the level that they like teaching, but also the age group that they like teaching. So we try and give you as much exposure, as much experience as we can during the teaching practice. And the last thing is a materials compilation project. Once you've done your teaching practice, you need to take a couple of the sets of materials that you loved or you hated and explain what you liked or didn't like about them. So yeah, if you yeah, if you thought that the lesson went brilliantly and the materials were perfect, great. But usually when you finish the lesson, you'll think, maybe I could have changed that, or maybe I could have modified that kind of thing. The combined course, for this one, the theory is online for 60 hours. And then the teaching practice is offline here at our center. Otherwise, it's basically exactly the same course as the 120-hour full course. And the online course is 15 units. You can take your own time over this. It can be anywhere between 2 weeks and 2 months. The teaching practice is either essays or video teaching practice. It's self-paced. You can do it with or without live lessons. The live lessons it costs a little bit more for the live lessons, but the benefit is then you've got somebody to ask if you don't know what you're doing. The only other drawback with this one is that you need to organize your own place to practice for teaching practice, so we can film your lessons and monitor you. I think the next slide has the prices for all of these. Right now, there's some fairly hefty discounts on all of the courses, just because post-COVID, we're keen to get more people back to Vietnam. And yeah, all of the schools are crying out for teachers right now. As much as 75% of the foreigners in Vietnam left over the last 2 years because of the COVID lockdowns and complications with the visa rules. The visa rules have calmed down a lot, and the lockdowns seem to be done now. So yeah, we need more people to come back. So the special promotions we've got going at the moment. But all of this will be in the slides. So if anybody wants to take advantage of any of this, you can follow up. The information is all there. So a little riddle. Can anybody tell me what that says? You'll have to unmute your microphone. I'm afraid I can't see the chat box at the moment. There we go. So what's the? There we go. I've got my chat box up now. So yeah, I think I'm seeing one correct answer there. Benedict and Sam. Yeah, the question is, what color is coal? So the answer is number 5, black. Okay, let's go to the next one. Anyone give me that one? Yeah, we got lots of good answers there. Don't worry, we're recording who's got the right answer here, so we'll yeah, exactly right. It's what do most people sleep on? So the answer is number 3, beds. If you're looking at this and thinking, what the hell is that? Don't panic, don't freak out. Our course covers the phonology aspects of of teaching English. So we'll teach you all of this stuff. Make sure you know exactly what you're doing with it. The first time I saw this, I was absolutely horrified. I was like, hang on a minute, I thought I knew the alphabet. What's gone wrong? But yeah, so what we'll teach you is English phonology. But the symbols, you're absolutely right, do come from the International Phonetic Alphabet. Yeah. Okay. So on to the last part, which is how to legalize certificates in Vietnam. There's two ways to authenticate a Tesol certificate in Vietnam. The first one is to go to your consulate and do a sworn affidavit to say that your certificate is real. That's also known as apostille or a self-declaration. Now, some consulates, some embassies will do that and some won't. So, for example, Australia or Ireland, that's no problem to do. You can just walk in, raise your hand, swear that it's true, the information is true, they'll stamp it for you. Great. Now that works for the purposes of getting your certificate approved for a work permit in Vietnam, but that doesn't work for most countries. The other option is to go through the full authentication process to verify that your certificate is real. This is where basically they check that your certificate is real rather than you just declaring that it's real. Now we can do that entire process for you, where it needs to be sent to a notary in the US, then to the State Department in Oregon, then to the US State Department in Washington, and then to the Vietnam Embassy. How long that takes, I can't promise you, because the notary and the Oregon State legalization we can do in a day. The US State Department will usually do it in a day, but the Vietnam Embassy can take anything from a day to 2 weeks. At which point, yeah, we get the certificates back. The benefit to that is having gone through through Oregon and through the State Department in Washington, it then means your certificate's valid to use anywhere in the world. So if you decide after a couple of years in Vietnam that you want to move to teach in Thailand or in Korea or in Japan or in Saudi or wherever, that it's all done. So this is a one and done rather than the self-legalization, which works some places, doesn't work other places, and you have to do every time you want to renew your work permit. Okay. This is our building. We're in Phu Nhan district, so we're right in the center of the city. I also live in Phu Nhan district because it's super convenient. One benefit to Phu Nhan is nowhere is ever more than 25 minutes away. If you, yeah, anywhere that you want to go to, it's always kind of near. So it does mean if anybody's already in Vietnam, wherever you're based in Ho Chi Minh City, it'll be fairly easy to get to us. There's the contact information. Again, when you get a copy of the slides, you can go through all of that. You can get all of that information. So thank you very much, everybody. Any questions?
Hi, Mr. Andy. I saw
Hey.
the many questions in the chat room, so I would like to take it out loud for you to support teachers. I saw the question that many teachers mentioned they have the Tesol from Australia or Canada. Is it okay to use in Vietnam?
Should be fine. Yeah. The Tesol, it very much depends on whether it was a full Tesol or not. If it was a 120-hour course with 6 hours of practicum, and it's properly accredited, it should be no problem to authenticate.
Okay. So I also saw the questions. What should I do if I'm fresher in teaching, or how can I start my career as a fresher in Vietnam?
Okay. if you don't have any experience, that doesn't matter too much. There are hundreds of schools in just in Ho Chi Minh City. There are thousands of schools in Vietnam hiring foreign teachers. Right now, most of those schools are understaffed. Most of those schools are short of short of teachers. So they're a lot more open to the idea of hiring teachers with less experience. Some of the schools will only hire teachers with a year's experience or 5 years experience or 10 years experience or whatever, but there's not too many of those. Most schools are willing to hire somebody who's newly qualified.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Andy. I
No
saw
problem.
the question from Mr. Sam in the chat box. How about the professional BA in TOEFL? Can it consider as the good teaching certificate?
Bachelor's in Tefl, yes, that should be fine. Yeah. I've got the questions that people asked prior to the course. I can skip through those quickly if you want. So how do I get a Tefl course legalized in Vietnam? We've answered that one already. In terms of job placement, there's no Tesol course available or no Celta course available in Vietnam that guarantees job placement afterwards. We will help you find a job, and we get 99% of our trainees a job. The reason we don't offer a guarantee is there's some people out there that are just unemployable. So yeah, if somebody takes a job and they get fired, or they just can't get past the interview stage, but if you're that kind of person, you probably already know you're that kind of person. If you're sensible, responsible, hardworking, and you've successfully got through a job interview before, you should have no problem with getting a job. And certainly all of us here today can help you with that a lot. There was another question here. Can I teach in Vietnam without a Tesol or Tefl certification? You need some kind of teaching qualification. So if you have a teaching license from your home country, that's usually okay for working in an international school. But bear in mind that if you're planning on teaching English, having a Tesol or equivalent is a very good idea, even if you already have a PGCE or a teaching license. Because usually when you qualify as a teacher, you're teaching students who speak the same language as you. Once you switch to teaching in a second language, whichever subject you're teaching, it's very useful to learn how to do that effectively. The next question, what should I do if I want to teach kids classes? That's fine. Lots of schools that have kids classes. Generally the older they are, the more experience you need to have. Most of the universities will expect a little bit more experience. But yeah, certainly if anybody's keen on teaching kindergarten or teaching primary school, that's very much available.
I saw a question from Mr. Brendan. In the north of Vietnam, teachers are required to obtain both teaching and English certificates to work in the K-12 school. So does TOEFL International Vietnam offer both?
Trying to find that question.
Yeah. About teaching and English certificate to work in the kindergarten to 12 level.
Yeah, I mean, I think for it depends on what subject you're teaching. If you're there as a language teacher, as an English teacher, normally you just need your Tesol. If you're teaching in an international school, so you're the maths teacher or the science teacher or whatever, then usually you need to have a teaching license from your home country to go with that.
Oh, I saw the really interesting question here. So is it an age limit to obtain the work permit or work in Vietnam at the English teachers?
No, is the short answer to that. Vietnam has some drawbacks on this. There's no such thing as a retirement visa in Vietnam, which because I've been here nearly 20 years now, so a couple of my older colleagues when I first got here have now gone well past retirement age, and it's a little bit of a nuisance for them trying to get a visa now that they're not working. But there is no limit on the age for working. So what I've managed to do with them is help them out through my company and sort them out with a work visa, and in exchange they do cover work for me and like one morning a week.
Okay, let's have some new questions in the chat.
Yeah, that's right. I'm just having a quick look at those. Okay, Brendan, to answer your question further, I'm not sure about that because I'm Saigon based, and here certainly it doesn't require both. You need to have a bachelor's degree, and you need to have a Tefl certificate of some sort. That's the requirements for the K-12 schools, unless they're international schools.
So there is a question about the legalization from Mr. George. Can our certificates be used in Vietnam without legalization? Can the Tesol certificate be used without legalization?
There's two answers to that question. Officially, no. Unofficially, probably. Same as most things in Vietnam, there's always a way to get things done. One of the other requirements for the work permit is to have a bachelor's degree, but it is possible to get a work permit without a bachelor's degree. There are some other ways to go around it. Same thing with legalizing your Tesol certificate or most of the other requirements. That there are ways and means. It just might end up costing you more.
Yes, thank you. And there is a question from Mr. Andy. Would studying many undergraduate degree be worth it?
Well, the undergraduate degree generally, if you're looking to teach English, then having any undergraduate degree is fine. If you want to teach a specific subject at one of the international schools, then yeah, you need to have a bachelor's degree in that subject. So again, one thing to remember with this, bear in mind that the international school jobs make up probably about 5% of all the jobs available in Vietnam. The other 95% is split between the language centers and the public schools and Vietnamese private schools. So yeah, worrying about the qualifications for the international schools is something that most people don't need to be worrying about, because that's probably not where you're going to end up working.
Oh, I saw some teachers wave hands in the classroom. Miss Marco. So I will open the micros, and so that she can ask your questions. Hi, Miss Makisa. Can you give the question to the speaker? Yeah, it seems that she confused to give the questions. Okay, so yeah, I will move before the questions in the chat box today. We also have the question from the register form before the event. So
I've got those up on my screen right now.
Yes, it had the questions about the package. That is there any Tefl Tesol package with the replacement about job in Vietnam?
I answered that one already.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If we look at the general questions, where online do I go to search for jobs? Talk to Miss Jessie. She can help you out with that one. Can a non-native English speaker apply for a teaching position in Vietnam? Yes, absolutely. Some of the best English teachers that I've met have been non-native speakers. There's a few extra requirements if you're a non-native speaker, but usually if your English is good enough to be teaching, your English is good enough to pass the tests you need to qualify. It's about an Ielts 7 equivalent to be able to teach in most schools in Vietnam. There are some schools that will require an 8 or even a 9, but most schools it's Ielts 7. And that's the requirement for the work permit. So yeah, like I say, if your English is good enough that you should be teaching English, your English is good enough you should be able to get through the course.
Hello.
Yeah. Same question.
Yes, please.
Yes, my name is Jana Taranga. I've been teaching English for over 10 years. I've been teaching IELTS and General English to Vietnamese students for over 2 years now online.
Okay.
I'm a Celta qualified teacher of English, but I don't have a degree at the moment. I'm in the process of completing it. Will I have a chance to work in Vietnam as a teacher?
Yes. Like I say, the official answer to that is no. The reality is usually yes. I know quite a few teachers who are working here without a degree. One of the most effective ways to do that is to get your current employers to verify your experience. A certain number of years working in a field can qualify you as an expert in the same way that having a bachelor's degree in the field can qualify you as an expert. Both of those are acceptable for the work permit.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
No problem. Just looking at the rest of the questions from prior to the seminar. What are the chances of finding a job remotely before entering Vietnam? That's certainly possible. That said, the easiest way to get a job once you're here is to work out where you want to be and then start applying when you're in the country. A lot of schools aren't that organized when it comes to planning their staffing needs ahead of time. My very first job in Vietnam, I walked into the school to interview at 10 o'clock in the morning, and they said to me, "Excellent, can you start at 2 p.m.?" Because they needed a teacher for that day. So yes, you can apply for jobs from outside Vietnam. Yes, you certainly can get a job from outside Vietnam. But if you're here on the ground, you're more likely to get a job because they're often looking for somebody that can start immediately. How long do sponsorship letters take to obtain a business visas? Anywhere between 1 day and 1 week, usually. It doesn't take very long to get those. In terms of housing, there are not very many schools in the big cities that will offer you accommodation, but accommodation is very easy to find in the big cities. Once you get out into the countryside, many of the schools will offer accommodation to go with the job. But you might decide that you want to find your own stuff anyway, because once you're in the countryside, accommodation is so crazy cheap that yeah, for just $300 or $400 a month, you can get yourself a palace. Flight reimbursement, again, that's rare. It depends, but that very much depends on which school you're working at. I have a diploma in education. Yeah.
Okay. Because I saw the hand wave from Mr. Major.
Yeah.
So I'm going to turn on his micro so he can ask for you. So,
okay.
Mr. Major.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello. Good morning,
Hey.
Miss Jessie, and good morning, Mr. Andy.
Hey.
Yeah. I'm Major. So I have a particular question about this business visa. Can I bring my family member with a business visa? For instance, if I could bring one person with the business visa, is it possible?
In theory, yes. You would need to get them a separate visa. But yeah, and again, usually in Vietnam, if someone's a dependent or a minor, yeah, you can get them an extended visa. I know a couple of friends of mine that are single parents that are working here, and they've successfully managed to get visas for their kids without too much trouble.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
about the question, I can ask more. Yes, for teachers who come to Vietnam at the business visa, you can bring your family member with the dependent visa as long as your employer, it means your sponsor, willing to be the sponsor for your family member too. So you can follow the visa process to bring your family member with the dependent visa to come Vietnam legally.
so I have to apply for dependent visa separately, right?
Yes.
It depends, but it should be separately because we recommend you can have the business visa for you first, and also the work permit. After that, you can apply for dependent visa easier there.
I see. So it would take a little time to get a dependent visa, right? I mean,
yeah, that's right.
Not really. I mean, once you probably the easiest way to do it is to both of you coming to Vietnam on a tourist visa. Once you're here and you have a job lined up, you can, depending on where you are, you can nip over the border to Cambodia and come back in same day on a business visa. And at the same time, the dependent visa can be waiting for you as well. The dependent visa doesn't take any longer than the business visa to set up, and it's actually cheaper. So yeah, as long as your employer is okay with that, then yeah, it's fine.
Yes, the most important is your sponsor and your employer. They're willing to accept to be the sponsor for your family member too.
Yeah, my company said that they would make a business visa for me, but when I asked them about the family members, they said that it wouldn't be possible or something like that. So yeah,
they're not willing to. But about this, you can send the email to our Vietnam Teaching Job email so that we can support you for the detail after that. I would like to see the email into the chat box so you can send us after the event.
I see. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Certainly, I for my company, I've done these before for people. I personally have no problem doing them, and I know quite a few other schools that have no problem doing them. So it might just be that the school you applied to, it's not something they're willing to do, or it could just be that they don't know what the system is for processing it.
I see. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Andy and Miss JC. Thank you so much. Have a
Thank you so
day.
much. Yeah, I have another teacher here, Mr. Andy Holmes. She or he would like to ask the questions.
Go ahead.
So, yeah. Please unmute your microphone. Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
So you've already answered one of my questions, the undergraduate degree or studying multiple of those, but I would like to know if studying those could help me apply for a work permit and a TRC whilst studying those degrees?
While studying?
Yes.
Probably not. You need to actually have the certification in hand to use it to apply for the work permit. However, this is Vietnam. All things are possible. So yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I know several teachers that don't have a bachelor's degree that are working here. There are ways and means to get it done. It just some schools insist on you having a bachelor's degree already. Some schools don't. Usually depending on how good their relationship with the immigration department is.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Just looking at the questions from prior to the event, a couple more here. Would my Canadian master's degree be sufficient English language level proficiency instead of Ielts? I think so. I think if your degree is issued in a native speaking country, that's usually enough. The next one, when will they be hiring teachers in Vietnam again? Right now. Because there's several different types of schools in Vietnam. The primary schools, high schools, that kind of thing. They're hiring for their summer school programs right now. They'll be hiring again in August for the new school year to start in September. The international schools normally will start hiring June to August for the next school year. But we have a few Australian schools here, and the Australian schools are upside down. So they tend to hire in the winter because that's their summer holiday. And the language schools, there are always language schools hiring. 365 days a year, there will be at least 20 or 30 different language schools that are advertising jobs. Often more than that.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Andy. I saw
no
many
problem.
questions about the language proficiency. So about this part, I would like to talk to the teachers that way to my presentation, because I will make really clearly about the language proficiency in Vietnam, and also the other relating to the quarantine or the teaching job finding. So because of limited of time, so for all any other questions, Mr. Andy cannot reply in the event. So please don't worry, because you can send us via our email, and then we will send back to Mr. Andy, and Mr. Andy will answer all of that. Okay.
I think the prior to the event, the only other question that came up fairly regularly was about the COVID vaccine requirements. Yeah. Yes, you need a vaccine, but yes, Vietnam recognizes most countries' vaccine passports these days. It's not so much the requirements for teaching; it's the requirements for getting into Vietnam. But all of those are available online, or I'm sure Jessie has all of that information that she can email to you.
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Mr. Andy, for your sharing today.
No problem.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, if any questions relating to the teaching certificates about Tefl International Vietnam Team Job will send back to you after the event, and hope that you can support our teachers about this.
Yeah, no problem, and I hope to see some of you very soon.
Thank you so much. So please welcome back our host today, Ms. Tracy. Thank you so much, Mr. Andy.
Hi everyone, thank you, Mrs. Jessie and Mr. Andy, for your presentation. Now, before we get to Mrs. Jessie's presentation, we will have some simple questions to make sure that you have a good understanding about the content that I've been shared with you so far. So I'm going to put on a poll. So we have 3 questions on the screen. please choose the question, the answer that you think is the most correct. And please make sure that you read the questions carefully. Like in number 3, what is not the correct answers about the minimum language proficiency requirement for non-native speakers? Do you remember this average salary for teaching at public schools? I've seen some answers. I'm going to show the results to everyone. Um, 35 hour. Okay, we are waiting for like 1 more minute and I'm going to show the answers, the results. So 48 out of 79 people in this room has answered. What about the rest? 49. Okay, I'm about to show the results in. Okay. Now, can you see the results? So number 1, what is the average salary for teaching at public school? So the correct answers is 1,500 to 2,100. So it's all right if you chose the wrong answer. We will send you the slides and the records of the speakers who have shared with you the information today, so that you can have a look again at the content. And then number 2, what is the difference between an English certificate and a teaching certificate? Yeah, so the right answer is the first one. The English certificate shows your current level of English, and while a teaching certificate allows you to work as an English teacher in Vietnam. And the last one, what is not the correct answer about the minimum language proficiency requirements for non-native teachers to teach English in Vietnam? So the incorrect answers, the incorrect answer is Ielts with at least 6.5. The other 3 are the correct ones. So if you are confused about the answer for the last question, we will move on to the next presentation by Mrs. Jessie, where she will clarify about this information for non-native teachers. So now I'm going to leave the screen for Mrs. Jessie so that she will start presenting about the topic. Thank you everyone for taking part in this call. And
thanks so much, Ms. Gracie. Yeah, hi everyone. So my name is Jessie and I'm the team leader at the Vietnam teaching job. So for many teachers, we you maybe already know about me because I always support you guys about the answer via our questions through the emails or Facebook. So thank you so much for your time until now to wait for my presentation. Ms. Gracie, can you please turn off your screen? Okay, so I would like to send with you guys today about the specific about the requirements for foreign language proficiency for non-native English teachers in Vietnam. Can everyone here see my screen right now? Please tell me in the chat box. Okay, so is it clearly to hear about my voice? Okay, thank you so much. So I assured the many questions about the language proficiency, language for non-native teachers. So I would like to tell you more about the detail for this requirement. So as you can see, I also mentioned that the foreign language proficiency is just for non-native ESL teachers in Vietnam. So for the native teachers, maybe it will not really related, but sometimes you can know about this information and then prepare later if because some of the requirements also will be useful for you guys if apply for the specific position in Vietnam. So for the past, I would like to classify the three main questions for you guys. So the first one is, what is the foreign language proficiency required for non-native teachers in Vietnam? For many teachers, it's really strange when they heard about the terms in Vietnam. So I would like to classify about this. The second one is what certificates are equivalent to the requirements. And the last one is how to get these certificates to use for making work permits in Vietnam. So let's start with the first one. The certificates of foreign language proficiency required for non-native teachers. The first about the 6th level foreign language proficiency frameworks is mentioned in circular number 1 by the Ministries of Education and Training in 2014. And it requires about the language proficiency for English teachers, not just about the expat teacher in Vietnam, but also apply for Vietnamese teachers. So what is the language proficiency framework? It was developed based on the 6th level, and the reference of the CEFR, also known as the Common European Frameworks of Reference for Languages. So that's why many teachers feel familiar will hear about the 6th level frameworks because it's based on the European frameworks for language. And it's divided into the 6th level correspond to 3 broad levels. As you can see, the elementary level with level 1 and 2, the intermediate level with level 3 and 4, and the advanced level with level 5 and 6. So for English teachers in Vietnam, you need to meet the at least level 5 for the advanced level to deliver the teaching in Vietnam. So for many teachers, the 6th level foreign language proficiency framework is a little strange about the term, but you will be familiar with the V-step. So the V-step is the examination for the 6th level frameworks in Vietnam. So who will need the requirements and have to meet the requirement to be admitted as the qualified non-native teachers in Vietnam? First of all, you need to be the non-native teachers. So the non-native teachers in Vietnam will be considered the teacher not from the 5 countries, the US, UK, Australia, Canada, and New Zealand. But not all the non-native teacher will need the language proficiency requirements, because if you have a degree in language pedagogy or higher, for example, the master one, or you have the degree in the appropriate language, in this case it's English, so that you don't need the language proficiency requirements. But if you don't have the degree and you are the non-native ESL teachers, so you will need to meet the at least level 5 in the 6th level foreign language proficiency framework with your degree in any field and with the teaching certificates that Mr. Andy also mentioned about the Tesol, Tefl, and Celta. So what's the certificate equivalent to the requirements in Vietnam? For the requirements, it's not compulsory for the teacher that they have to need the V-step only for the requirement, but you can have the other certificates. It can be accepted as long as you meet the level equivalent to the level 5 from the V-step. So in this case, we will have the 3 other certificates as you can see in the table. And of course, the first one will be the CEFR, because the language proficiency is based on the framework of the common European frameworks of reference for languages. So for the CEFR, you will need the level 5. It means that the C1 to meet the minimum, the requirements for the language proficiency. So for the second one will be the Cambridge English, as you also know the certificates at the CAT or the PES or CAE or CPE. So for the Cambridge English, you will need the at least CAE in advanced level or CPE in proficiency level to transfer as the qualified English teachers in Vietnam. And the last one will be the most popular one, as many teachers also know about this, is the called Ielts, because Ielts is recognized all over the world, especially using for non-native speakers, English speaker. So for the Ielts, you will need the at least the 6.0 score based on the level 5 of the V-step. I also saw the question about this in the chat room before. So I would like to mention that you need at least level 6.0, not the 6 or level 7.0, not the 6.5, as many teachers talk about this. So how to get the certificates to use in Vietnam? Many teachers send the question to us to ask about how to obtain the certificates to use in Vietnam, how much it costs and how long we can get the result from the examination. So I would like to list in the table. The first of all, for the V-step, you currently in Vietnam, there are the 15 universities around Vietnam, from the north, the south of Vietnam, and the central of Vietnam, for you to register to take the V-step examination, to take the C1 certificate. So for example, in north of Vietnam, it will be the University of Languages and International Studies, or Thái Nguyên University in the Thái Nguyên province. In south of Vietnam, you can register in the Ho Chi Minh City University of Education or Văn Lang University. In Da Nang, you can register in Da Nang University of Foreign Language. For the V-step examination, you have to register in person, and you will have the result about the 10 to 12 working days after the examination. For the certificates, you will have after the 25 working days after the exam. For about the cost of the V-step, it will be the cheapest certificates for this requirement, because it will be around the 80 US dollar for around the 1.8 million Vietnam dong to register. The second one is the common European frameworks of reference for languages. So you can register in the IEMS in Hanoi or the Cambridge English with their affiliated university around Vietnam, or EFSS also have the C1 examination for you guys to register and take the certificate. About the C1, we can register via person or also the online, depends on the convenience for you guys. And the result will be about the 4 to 6 weeks after the exam. If you take the examination on the paper, or the 2 to 3 weeks after the exam via the computer base. For the cost, it will be the double fees compared to V-step. Will be around 150 US dollar for the certificate. The last one will be the most expensive, but it's recognized all over the world, so you can use anywhere in the world. So it's called the Ielts. So for Ielts in Vietnam, you can register in the 2 biggest organization, that's IDP or District Council in Ho Chi Minh and Hanoi. And for IELTS, you can really convenient for us to register because it can match online or offline, just like the C1. And the result will be also faster than other because you can check the result 5 or 7 days after the IELTS on the computer test, and about 13 days if you take the IELTS on paper test. You can receive the test report form to use. For IELTS, it will take around the $200 in Vietnam to have the certificate. So of course, after you obtain the certificate in Vietnam, you will need to notarize and translate it into Vietnamese for submit to work permit, to process work permit in Vietnam. If you take the certificate outside Vietnam for about the C1 or about the IELTS, so beside the notarize, you will need to legalize the certificate for using in Vietnam. And the legalization will occur via the Vietnam embassies in your country to make sure that the certificates can use to make the work permit. So it's just a short information about the language proficiency. So now we will move to the Q&A questions because I saw that we receive many questions from the teachers around the world about the teaching in Vietnam and also the requirements for English teachers in Vietnam, how to start a career in Vietnam. So before we move to the question in the chat box, we would like to answer the 2 popular questions we always receive from the teachers via our emails or our fan page on the Facebook. The first one will be, can I work as the English teachers in Vietnam? Can I teach in Vietnam without a bachelor degree? So for the question, I would like to welcome Miss Sophia from our organization. So she has the many experience to work with teachers in this field. So she will support to answer for these questions in detail. So please welcome Miss Sophia.
Thank you, Miss Jati. So I have seen this question in the section of Mr. Andy about the teaching position without a bachelor degree, and it's based on my experience when I work as a teacher in Vietnam. So I will give you some situation about regarding the bachelor degree. And in case you have the degree, you are going to have the degree, but you cannot provide the hard copy to the employer at the moment. So you can already teach before you get the teaching the degree. But according to the Vietnam government, you must to provide the hard copy of the degree before 6 months you teach in the school. And you know that having the bachelor degree is very important one to make the work permit according to the regulation. And for the past of a few years, and also because of the COVID situation, and the law changed a lot of and made harder for the foreigners. So in case if you don't have the bachelor degree for 4 years, but you have the degree, the diploma with 3 years study at the college, you properly can apply for the position and make work permit in Vietnam. And it also have other relevant teaching certificates will require you to get besides the diploma. And another situation, if you don't have the bachelor degree with 4 years study at university or the diploma, you should have the 5 years teaching experience with the letter from the employers. So if you work out of Vietnam and can get the 5 years experience letter, so the letter should be notarized and then legalized by Vietnam Embassy. And if you have been teaching in Vietnam for 5 years and can get the 5 year experience letter, So the work permit or any employment certificate from the employers will be considered as the 5-year teaching experience letter. So that all information regarding this question.
Okay, thanks so much, Ms. Sophia, about your detailed questions. So, based on the law of the Vietnam government, so if you don't have the degree, we really suggest you can have the experience relevant and can confirm about this experience via the embassies to use in Vietnam, so that it can be replaced and you can work legally in Vietnam. For the second questions, we would like to answer. It will be the question really popular when I receive from teachers. Is how can I find the teaching job in Vietnam? So for the questions, I would like to mention some ways that with my experience, I think that it can be work and it can be useful for you guys to find. So the first one, I would like to mention the job search website. So for the job search website, I believe that all the teachers today, you will have the experience to use this before, because whenever you put the title or the search that English teaching job in Vietnam, you can see the many sites of the job to consider and to apply. But today I would like to talk more about our website, the Vietnam teaching job website. We are the biggest platform for English teaching job in Vietnam. So we have the many offer in our website, and with the detail, the title of position, the location, the salary, and also the name of the companies in our website, so that teachers, when they log into the Vietnam teaching job, they can consider the detailed offer from the organization around Vietnam in Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh, or provinces, and then you can apply online via our website. So for many teachers, ask that they have to make the CV or the resumes to apply via our website. So we really recommend you create the resumes beside the one you already have, because based on the resumes in our website, the teachers, the employers can have the full information they needed for from the applicants, and it can be displayed in the professional way, so that you can impress employer more when you apply via our website. The second one, as you can also know, this is the recruitment agents in Vietnam. So for the recruitment agent in Vietnam, they will support teachers to find the suitable offers based on your request or qualification, of course, and also to support teachers to how to can improve their profiles or how to become more professional via the interview or via the several steps to make the good impression with the employers. When you work with the recruitment agency, so they will have the service fee, maybe from the teachers or maybe from the employers. It will based on the policy from the agents, but all of them will inform about the service fee at the beginning for the teachers or employer, so that they can make decision by themselves whether they go along with the agents. For Vietnam teaching job, we take the service fee from the employers, because if employer pay for our service, they will not need to take the fee on the advertising or recruitment, other recruitment ways, so that they can save their time and money too. So for the service fee, many teachers thought that it will take from the teacher salary, but it's not. As I mentioned, it will be from the fee for employers to make on the advertisement or on the recruitment news, or maybe sometimes if from the teacher, and this is just a service fee at the one time from the beginning when they check the suitable offers. It's not checked from the teacher's salary, because the offer will be the same when delivered to the suitable teachers. For working with agent, we really recommend you can choose the one with the brand or the company name or the size, official size, instead of their personal agents. Although many, maybe several personal agents also have experience to work with the teacher for find suitable job, but it's when you work with a company or official site, you can avoid the risk or unexpected experience. The third one I want to mention is the Effie program in Vietnam, also called the English Fluent in Vietnam from the Vietnam Teaching Job. And this program is special for teachers outside of Vietnam. For this program, we launched the first on 2021 when the COVID is rising and we lack of so many English teachers in Vietnam. So we launched this program and support teachers to come with the sponsor of the legal employers and take the job. For 2002, we also launched the program in March. And for the program, you can have the legal sponsor in Vietnam and most in Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, but also have in the provinces too. And you will be skilled for minimum 12 months English teaching job in Vietnam. Sometimes it will be shorter or longer based on the offer from the employers. And we will certify, we will classify clearly for teachers before taking the position. And you can take the approval letter for enter Vietnam, and of course if we are business visa for working. For the program, VTJ will support teacher to take COVID test or to book flight ticket, to prepare or about the departure information, to share about the tip and the advice when you living in Vietnam, to welcome you when you come on the first day, and also support you during your stay in Vietnam. So for the service, for all our teachers and employers join our service, we would like to classify that teacher will need to pay the visa fee and one-way plane ticket, and the employer will provide offers, include salary benefits, and will be your legal sponsor to work in Vietnam. So this is the English Fluent in Vietnam program from Vietnam Teaching Job, and you can consider more detail in the link we will send you after the event. So if you are interested, our team member will support you for the detail. So that is the two common questions we received from the teachers. So I show many questions here. So for teachers who have the question, you can put the question in the chat box, or you can also wave your hands. On the with icons, I can turn on your micro then. I show the 3-person raised hand there. Okay, so I will ask Miss Markiko. I asked before. So can you please turn on your micro? Hello, Miss Mariko. Okay, maybe she cannot turn on the micro, so I will move to the questions. Okay, I saw the question here. First of all, what are the quarantine procedures in Vietnam? So in 2020 and recently, we received information from the government. So it's not require a quarantine in the hotel for teachers anymore, but they will be required to have the full vaccine for the COVID-19 before coming to Vietnam. And in the specifically, it will be the 2 doses of the vaccine confirmation. And when you come, and you also will have to take the COVID test via the real-time PCR before taking flight into Vietnam, so that when you come with the requirements, you don't need to be quarantined anymore in the hotel. But for the safety reasons, so maybe sometimes you will need to stay in the apartment or in the placement in Vietnam for about several days before starting to teach in the school or centers. Okay, so can you guys please raise the hands in the chat room? Okay, I saw the one here. Hello? Hello, can you turn on your micro? Yes, you will need the fully vaccinated. It will be at least 2 doses. In Vietnam, we also have the 3 or 4 doses already, but for the teachers outside Vietnam, you only need the 2 doses, and it has to be notarized and confirmed to use in Vietnam. Hello? Yeah, can you please turn on the micro? Okay, so I will continue with the questions in the chat room. Can the non-native speaker work as English teachers in Vietnam? So I think that we also mentioned so much about this, but I will also welcome Ms. Sophia to support you about the questions again to classify more. So Ms. Jessie, can you please answer the questions from Ms. Jenny? Can non-native speaker work as English teachers in Vietnam?
So probably in Vietnam, the employer is ready to hire both native and non-native speakers. So as I mentioned, or information in our sharing session, so if you come from the native country and you have a great accent and ability of communicating, you already can apply for a position in Vietnam. And as important to say that you have all the documents, and also you have a great teaching experience in Vietnam, and also have a love for teaching kids or children. And so you can apply for any position in Vietnam, and the employer is ready to hire you.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Sophia. And we hope that with the information you can be classified more. Of course, the non-native teachers can work in Vietnam as long as you meet the requirement that we already shared before. I saw the question from Ms. Ismail. Can non-native teachers apply to the placement program? And yes, of course, non-native teachers can apply to the placement program, but also based on the criteria of the requirement from the government for English teachers when teaching in Vietnam. We will require teachers to have the full document required. For example, for non-native, you will need the degree or teaching certificates and also language proficiency if you don't have the degree in the related level or measure in Vietnam. So that's if you meet the full requirements and can legalize the document for using in Vietnam, so you can apply to the placement program for teaching.
I have seen the question, can non-native teacher apply to the placement program?
Yeah, I just answered about this.
Okay.
Okay, I show the questions about the TOEIC. So Ms. Sophia, can you answer the question? Is TOEIC accepted as proficiency certificate?
So regarding the TOEIC, so based on my experience once I work and taught as a teacher, so the TOEIC consider for the English certificate to show your ability to use English for non-native teacher. And actually, in Vietnam, as in the section of Ms. Yatsi, we are regarding the time of the certificate to make work permit. So Vietnam government requires for the C1 from British Council the Ielts certificate with 7.0 relevant from British Council or the VSAT certificate from Vietnamese university. So this kind of the certificate is normally used in Vietnam to apply for the work permit. And about the TOEIC, so some teachers have the TOEIC with their score, but in recent years, so the government prefer teachers should have for another certificate to apply for the work permit.
Okay, thank you so much for your question, your answer, Miss Sophie. I saw the question about the Effie program. It's just for 12 months. Could it be extended? As I mentioned, that's the average and the most common contrast for our Effie program will be the 12 months because it's either common time with the employer in Vietnam, but sometimes it can be longer, can be the 2 years, or maybe sometimes it's shorter, it's 9 months. It will be based on the teacher's expectation and also the offer from the employer at the time. So we will give the exact information for teachers when they come with the Effie program with VTJ. Can the university diploma be legalized in Vietnam? So for the legalization, actually, we cannot say for sure about this because it will depend on the country you get the university diploma from. Currently, for the most common case, we already receive from teachers that they can they should legalize the university in their own country because it can be easier than in Vietnam. Currently, the Vietnam embassy and also the embassy from the country you receive the university diploma from, for example, Canada or the US, it's really difficult for you to make the affidavit to legalize after that in Vietnam embassy. So it can, but may be difficult, and we will have to receive the certificate diploma to see whether it can legalize in Vietnam at the time.
I have seen the question from Danny on the website where the jobs are advertised, and how do you know how many teachers the company is looking for? My husband and I would like to teach at the same school. So actually, on our website, we regularly update a lot of teaching positions from different kinds of the school in our website, and you can do a search on our website and then directly apply for the position you apply for it. And if you pass the employer review route, they will directly email you for the next hiring process. And also from our program, APID program, we also receive the teacher expectation, know about their the subject they would like to teach, the teaching location or the groups of students, and then we will check the employer who fits with the teacher expectation, and then set up another process for the set of the interview demo and then get the offer. So we also have the website to sort you all the variety of teaching positions, and also we have the headhunt team to sort you to find the position you seek for.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Sophia. I saw the question from Mr. Benedict. Do I still need IELTS if I already have the bachelor degree in education? So as we mentioned, so if you are the non-native, but if you have the degree in language pedagogy or the appropriate language in education, you will don't need to be compulsory to meet the requirement about language proficiency. However, about the degree in education, it will also be considered about the specific measures in the education. For example, if it's in the language and it mentioned already the elementary teaching or the English teaching, so it will be great. But it is not in the appropriate measure you apply. For example, if you apply in math and you have the education in English, so it will be not relevant enough for you to replace all the other requirements needed from the employer. So it will based on the specific the education you measure in your degree. And it will be great if you are in the pedagogy in education, so that it can be sure to use in Vietnam. Okay.
Another question here. Yeah. Our position with November start date you post on the Vietnam Teaching Job website, and the latest start date I have seen up to now has been for July or August. So that means you are asking for the hiring season in Vietnam. So in normal, there are two seasons, two semesters at the university or schools in Vietnam. Well, the employer will shift and find the teacher before one or many the school the new academic year. And also when you apply for a position at language center or private center, it depends on the needs of the numbers of teachers, the center needs. So the hiring process will go year round. So that is the difference for the hiring season in Vietnam for the school and the private language center.
Okay, I show the question from Miss Missy Comles. How is students and parents in Vietnam behavior toward the non-native teachers? So actually, it's not really the specific about the attitudes or behavior toward the non-native teachers in Vietnam, but based on our experience, as long as you are the qualified teacher, you are the experienced one, and you can deliver your lesson is really interesting and qualified. So the teacher and the student and the parents will be really satisfied, even you are the non-native English teachers, because the only thing they care is about the accent, about the qualification of the teachers. If they can teach their students effectively, so they really satisfied about this, and it don't have any obstacle there. I already got a C1 certificate via British Council. Do I still need to take IELTS exam? As I mentioned, you can take whether C1 or IELTS as long as it's equivalent to the level 5 in the VSTEP. So if you already got C1 from British Council and you can notarize or legalize to use in Vietnam, so of course you don't need to take the IELTS exam anymore. Yeah, the same question. If I have the C1 complete, so do I need to take the VSTEP? So in the time, it's not compulsory, because the government also declared that the C1 can be compared and equivalent to the level 5 of VSTEP. So as long as you can notarize to use in Vietnam, so you do not need to take the VSTEP anymore.
I have seen a question from Alice. Which documents are needed to apply for a job? And from non-native English-speaking country, should I translate documents and can I do it in Vietnam? So actually, I have mentioned this information into my sharing session. So if you are from non-native or native English speaker, so you should have the bachelor degree, the teaching certificate, language proficiency test. It depends on the major of the degree. And also, if you are from non-native English speaker, you should have, and also both native speaker, after you not try and legalize document from Vietnam Embassy, all the documents should be translated into Vietnam and get stamped from the authority to apply for the work permit. And the translation service can do it in Vietnam because it is the easy step in Vietnam. Only for the notify from the foreign affairs should be do it in your country.
Okay, I saw some question about tasks, but about the task, so maybe we can answer later because it's really complicated then. But I can say in generally, if you work at the English teachers, at the teachers in Vietnam, and you don't have the work permit for about the 12 months at least, or you have the TRC, so maybe the task will be the 20% of your salaries on the contract. But if you have the TRC, so that the tax will be lower then and can be applied freely equivalent to the Vietnamese teachers. And currently, in the government also apply the insurance, the social insurance for expat teachers if they pay the enough cost based on the regulation. And then after that, you can also receive the percentage from your payments when you be an employer, or when you want to take back after the time you pay for the government. So I just only say about that. For the specifics, you can send the email to us, and then we can search about this more carefully and send back to you later. I saw that Mr. Thomas say the tax will be 30% or more, but as our experience, it's just about the highest will be 20%, but it's because you don't have the TRT or the work permit for at least 12 months already. If you already have, so it will be less than. Okay, what is the total cost of Effie program in Ho Chi Minh City? For our mention, so teachers will pay for the visa fee and also the one-way plane tickets. So for the visa fees, it will based on the time you apply and also your application. If you meet the full documents currently in Ho Chi Minh City and you legalize all your document to apply for the work permit or visa, it will be around the $300 to $400 for visa to entry and work in Ho Chi Minh City. But it will be specific on time because the cost and also the fee will be changeable. Okay, so Ms. Sylvia, do you have any other question from the chat room and you want to answer? Okay, we also have the question from the teachers when they submit the reference form, as we remember. So we have the question that so far, is it the session in Vietnam for apply job if you are outside Vietnam? So is it the hiring campaign really have many offers currently for teachers outside Vietnam? So Ms. Sophia, can you please answer the questions? Is it the session suitable for teachers to apply for the job in Vietnam?
I have mentioned this question before regarding the hiring session in Vietnam for the international or the government school. The hiring peak will be in the first semester in September, and the second semester will be in January. So that means if you intend to apply for a position in Thai school, you need to prepare and start to apply before 1 or 2 months before the new academic year starts. I have seen a question about the overseas teacher. So you are out of Vietnam and would like to get into Vietnam, you only can get into Vietnam via business visa or the tourist one. And based on the requirement and the regulation from Vietnam government. So we prefer you and to get you to find the employer before applying for the visa. So that means you will enter Vietnam with the business visa for 3 months, and then during 3 months in Vietnam, the employer will make the work permit, submit all the documents at the labor department to make work permit for you, and then apply for the working visa for 1 year or the TRC, temporary resident card, for 2 years.
Sure, the question from Ms. Jania for Ho Chi Minh City and Hanoi province and other province. Do they have different policy for work visa and requirements? Actually not, because the more general requirement we also mentioned or about in our event today. So most of the province and city in Vietnam, they will apply for the requirements. But for some provinces, they will more strictly about the 3-year experience for teachers, although they have enough the requirements about the degree, teaching certificates, or the Ielts, the C1, but some province, they will require more about the 3-year experience confirmation about teaching. But now it can be flexible, and for the specific province, we can check for you whether they can accept if you're lacking of the 3-year experience or not. For general, it's not really different. Yes.
So for this question, I would like to add the detail for the visa. So one for the outside teacher to enter Vietnam in the province or another city without Hanoi. So at the moment, Hanoi can provide you with the 1-month business visa. So comparing to another city, they provide for 3 months business visa. So that means you apply for a position and get into Vietnam by Hanoi employer. So you should have 1 month's business visa, and then after 1 month, your employers must to extend your visa and prepare all the documents to make work permit.
Okay, so what is the best time to apply for public teaching job? And as we mentioned, public school in Vietnam will be start around the August or the middle of August to start the academic years, and then will end in the May or July. So the best time to apply for public school will be from the April to June or July, because the public school is hiring now, and it will be the most huge campaigns for public school currently in Vietnam. They recruit many for the April and May, so that they can have the time to review all the application and conduct other steps before they can start in the beginning of August. Miss Juliet has the questions. Miss Sophia, can you answer the Miss Juliet questions?
I have been in Hanoi in 2015, teaching in public school. Ballot papers. So that means you are in our Vietnam right now, or I'm not sure about your situation. So because you have been in Hanoi for 1 year, I'm in Philippines. So according to regulation, if you have the current work permit and the work permit is valid right now, and you are come back Philippines and want to return, so you can apply for the visa with the current work permit and then come back to Vietnam. And in case you have stopped the contract and the employer has canceled your visa and the work permit, you need to find another employer or ask the employer to give you all the documents to apply for the new business visa and then enter Vietnam again. And one more information regarding Philippines teacher. So to get out Philippines. So you should apply for the OCE process in Philippines. So the employers must mail the hard copies of the contract to Philippines, and then you will sign notarized translation the contract and then apply to the OEC process to get out Philippines and get into Vietnam.
Okay, I show that it is run out of time right now. So because of limitation of time, so for all other questions, so please send us via the email I send in the chat box, info@vietnamteachjob.com, so that we can support you all with the detail with your specific questions. And about the information today, we also send and also have the gift for the teachers after the event. So Miss Gracie, the host of the event today, will tell you more about this. Can you please welcome us, Miss Gracie?
Hi everyone. Thank you for your Q&A session, Mrs. Jessie and Mrs. Sophie. So I would like to thank you as we bring our webinar about teaching in Vietnam 2022 to a close. Thank you for allowing us to deliver these amazing presentations and advice today, and hope that this activity has given you a much clearer understanding of how to meet the requirements to get a teaching job in Vietnam. So before we end the session, I would like to share with you the this is like the event feedback form. We are going to send you a gift at the end when we finish the session. The gift includes some slides and some articles about the procedure to enter Vietnam and get a job, including matters about visa, work permits, and other qualifications needed for the procedures. And also we are having another, let me share my screen. And then we are having this feedback form that we are going to attach in our email while sending you the materials. So please, if you see the form of the feedback, please give some like evaluation about how helpful we were and how helpful the event was to you in finding a job in Vietnam. And also all the slides and presentation files for today's session will be sent to you after the session. And does anyone have any questions before we bring it to an end? If no, then thank you so much for participating in this session again, and I'll see you in our next event. Thank you so much and have a good day.